To all members of the Daniel Films Industrial Complex, thank you very much for tuning in again. And to those of you who are not members already, then I'm sorry, but no one is coming to save you. You know, you're stuck here now. And whilst I screw on this light, I'd like to inform you, there's sharks here as well. It's over. I'm very sorry. There will be no escape. And now, let's talk about The Walking Dead. Okay, lighting change. So recently, guys, I started watching this kind of niche little indie underground show that came out quite recently, I'd say, but not very many people know about it, and it's really good in my opinion. It's called The Walking Dead, and the first series was good. The second series was kind of good, and for a while it stayed being kind of good. But then, almost immediately after this whole Terminus arc thing had started, where literally everyone was split up, it just fumbled the bag. Like, genuinely, that show was good. It was interesting. But the second they were done fighting this big bad villain called the Governor, it fell off. And I literally couldn't watch it anymore. But recently it's been going around my head, living rent free. Just all the time I keep finding myself thinking about it. Not for the characters, or for how good the show was, or anything like that. But literally just I keep thinking about what I would do. Because that apocalypse was completely and utterly survivable. I'm not joking. I genuinely think The Walking Dead would have never happened. So now, for no reason whatsoever, and with no overall value to society at all, I will now take you through how I would survive the Walking Dead zombie apocalypse, going from the point of first infection to if my city started to get taken over, and then if the entire world was infected. And I will show you how and why me personally would survive every single time, and why you probably would too. Okay, so first infection. Let's say I'm a technician in a government lab. The lab where it all starts, or at least where people thought it did. And I'm nearly done analysing this new virus me and my co-worker have created, when suddenly they turn to me with a look in their eyes that lets me know they're rotting inside, infected by the virus we both created. What do? They're only a few feet away, moving towards me with the stiffness that can only come from rigor mortis and making to lunge before I leave. Maybe have to pick up a chair and use it to whack him away. Or just shove him onto the floor. Or if either of those options are impossible, then maybe I just play a little game of run around the table with him until I have an opening and I take it and I get out of there through whatever door to the lab there is, before I then just shut the lab door and wait for security to arrive. And that's it. That's how I beat the first infection. Literally, don't let them bite me. It's that easy. Just don't. Like, I don't get how this is a particularly hard problem, because they're called The Walking Dead. I am a member of the Running Alive. I'm not just gonna be like, oh no, they're biting me. I will just whack them. Even if they grab you, you still got at least a decent shot of just pushing them off, you know? Anyways, that's it. The virus is contained. The only person to ever get infected is literally just some random sick guy who we can push over and then beat to death.
Don't you feel silly? Don't you feel stupid? Don't you feel a little ashamed?
Unless it's already a disease and everyone has been passively infected, and now everyone who dies will turn into a monstrous zombie. I'm on the road and there's been a terrible accident. Some guy's been hit by a car and I'm trying to help, when suddenly they start clambering up to their feet with a strange infected look in their eyes as they lunge towards and try to bite me in the neck. Then I run away, maybe kick them, or probably just move away and be like, sorry man, just go away please. Because sure, I might not be able to suddenly fight a guy who I thought was just dead, but I'm definitely not going to let them bite me. I don't really think anyone would, to be honest. I mean, unless. Then I run away. And so, as long as I literally just get away from that first infected I encounter, I should be fine. But what if people don't have that kind of common sense? What if they get bitten by whoever tries to help? And what if they spread and spread until my whole town is infected? And I'm right in the middle, and I can't get out. Then I'll watch them from my window, make sure the doors are locked, and climb all the way upstairs to my loft. At which point, I'll climb out of the window, shut it, and until it's daylight again, until I feel like they've forgotten about me, I will literally just sit on the roof. I mean, have you ever climbed up a house? Like, have you ever been able to fully just scale a home? Do you think a zombie would be able to do that? No, I'm literally just gonna stand there whilst everyone's running around screaming about all these infected, going, ah, run for your life, run for your life. I will sit there. 1,000 zombies beneath me around my home. My reaction to that information: sits on roof. They have no count. I will be safe until I decide to move, at which point I'll probably just move to the edge of the roof so that I can drop down into a different house entirely. And I'm a little bit scared of heights, but I'm thinking if I just edge to the bottom and then just kind of drop down, I'm a long guy basically. I'll just be able to kind of hang down like that, I guess. Yeah, I'll just hang of it until I'm ready to drop, and then I landed in someone else's garden. And unless they're already infected, if they are, I'll have to be careful getting to the other end of the garden. But if they aren't, I'll be fine. And if they're not home, then that's alright. But then I'll simply climb up their fence, climb over their fence even, do a bit of fence jumping, like that random bit in Hot Fuzz. And then I'll go into another garden, do the same little process until I've gone through all these gardens and I'm out in some fields at the edge of the town. And then I'm thinking, just hear me out here, just hear me out. I'll be able to see if a zombie starts walking towards me at walking pace, and then I'll just keep moving away from wherever I see them, and I'll just keep going until I've gotten out of the area, and then I'm safe. That's how I survive if it's first infection. Just be in places where they can't be. And if they are around you, keep a good distance, and ideally get some kind of a pathway or just like a network of fields that you can walk through without getting cornered anywhere because it's a field. How am I going to not see a zombie in a field? Unless it's like a cornfield or something, at which point I just wouldn't go through that. I'd just go around it, but I'd be safe. And then I'd be able to get out of the area, find somewhere safer, and just wait till it all blows over. On a completely unrelated note, did you know that the UK military is one of the highest regarded in the world, in the top 5 of global superpowers, with incredible destructive capacity and 2 aircraft carriers in its service? As completely unrelated to the idea of a small town becoming hostile to the public and therefore the government. Completely unrelated. Anyways. But then, even after I survive my entire town getting infected and manage to get away from it all, everyone is already infected. And the only thing it takes to turn is to die without your brain getting destroyed. And so sure, I'd be fine until people around the world started dying. And then everyone started spreading it to everyone else and turning them all at once until the entire world is infected and there's nowhere I can just run away to. What would I do? What would you do? Well, that is the most important question. Well then, that scenario might be kind of hard because, let's face it, I'm not taking on anything over 20 zombies. Anything over 10 even, I would die. You would die. You can't fight 10 people. It's just not happening. And that's why the one and most important rule above all others of my survival strategy would be to not get cornered or surrounded by any large group unless I have some kind of advantage. And that's where the real strategy comes in. You see, in this scenario, humans always have the mobility advantage. As I've explained before, we are the members of the running alive. We are not the walking dead, we are the running alive. And to my knowledge, none of the Walking Dead club are capable of moving even slightly faster than an arthritic 83-year-old. So, in order to have absolutely zero chance at losing to any zombie, all I need to do is make sure I can hit them with enough force to knock them over and enough distance to make sure they can't bite me. And that is where my master stroke comes in. A weapon of such power that I would be completely invulnerable to any kind of zombie attacks and be able to overpower even the strongest of them. It would let me wage wars against them, charge through hordes as long as I'm smart with it. And that weapon, that unbeatable counter to any zombie, would be an enormous ladder. Yes, you heard me correctly. I would literally just use an enormous, preferably metal, ladder. And I'd be fine in any fight. And do you want to know why? Because I could just climb in to one of its steps in the middle of the ladder, lift it up to my hip level, and then I would be unstoppable. Because any zombies ahead of me, I have about a good few meters of ladder between them and me that I can charge at them with, knock them to the floor, hitting them with enough force to probably break bones, and then I can just move past them. Or if they came at me from behind, they would just hit the ladder. Or even from the side. I love it when my light goes out like that. It's hilarious. Haha, so an angle change. We're on the floor now because my other light went out. Anyways, with the ladder, even if I was attacked from the side by a zombie, I could simply spin around like a Beyblade. And the sheer moment force of that would probably just kill them immediately. I mean, it's an enormous metal ladder just swinging at you whilst you're having to move at walking pace. What are you going to do? Nothing. There's no chance that any one zombie, or even 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 zombies could fight me when I am inside of that metal ladder. And if I carry it right, it wouldn't even be that hard, would it? Because my legs would probably be free enough to just run. I could move at running pace with a metal ladder. That would be unstoppable. And so, there's no way any less than 15 zombies would be able to actually have a chance of blocking my path. And guess what? With that ladder, I wouldn't even need to worry about getting away to some kind of a hidey hole or safe space. Because, as I've discussed earlier, people, let alone zombies, can't normally just climb houses like that. It's just not really happening, is it? And so, all I'd need to do is get to a decently safe distance where I'd have like 10 seconds of, breathing minimum. Then I'd literally just need to take off the ladder, put it against a house, and then climb the ladder. And then I just pick it back up. What are they gonna do? I'm on a roof. I'm multiple feet above them. And the only climbing surface they have is just bricks. There's no chance. I'm just literally gonna sit there, unfazed, and I'll be fine. Hell, even if they all surrounded the house, I'd be able to whittle them down by just holding the ladder by its edge, and when I feel I've got a good shot, just whacking it down. And eventually, I'd have taken out like 50 by doing that. And I'd be fine, as long as I stayed smart. But I get what you're thinking. Just soloing every single zombie, going it alone in this new wasteland, would be nearly impossible eventually. It certainly wouldn't be that sustainable. And that's where my friends come in.
The zombie apocalypse didn't matter much to me, at least to begin with. I found out about it initially, late night Discord call. I chose to do nothing. That's all I did in my room all those nights. Nothing. I just went to sleep and went on with my life as usual until Dan arrived.
And now, as I ascend in my production value, I will set the scene of where we are. I've left the safety of my home, had to fight through 15 walkers just to make it to Pat's. and using my trusty ladder, I quickly climb up to his house, come in through the window, and greet the first soldier in my new army. Because it's not just about finding friends anymore. It's not just about surviving this new world. It's about taking back control. It's about governance. And now, I've just elected myself the leader of my growing party of surviving the apocalypse. We have no other ulterior motives, none at all. Our literal only goal is now, and forever will be, to keep ourselves alive and keep the zombies dying. And we're gonna get very good at that. Now, there was, as there would have expectedly been, a very, very slight delay in recruiting Pat to join me on my new crusade, rather than just leaving the area entirely as he'd hoped. I had to gravely inform him of the horrors of our new world, and also spend about 20 minutes giving him variations of, come on man, let's form a group to wipe out the zombies. It'll be fun. It'll be like those video games.
It was very easy for me to leave my family behind. All those Discord calls being up late in my room, just me, no attention. That's what I wanted. That's all I wanted. And I could get that with Dan. And I did.
But eventually, he decides to join me. And together, we first have to pull back the ladder before it can be climbed up by any smart zombies, before spearing it down multiple times, clearing out the area. We then climb back down the ladder and take it with us to Pat's garden, at which point we get another big ladder for him. We are now a party of 2, and in order to recuperate, that's the wrong word, in order to extend our political power in our new campaign, we start going door to door, looking for either people who are trapped in their homes, people who are currently struggling against zombies, or anyone else we can radicalize to join me specifically in clearing out the streets. This is so many fucking double messages in it, Jesus Christ. However, in a shocking turn of events, after thinking about this plan for more than 5 minutes, both me and Patrick realised that this just wouldn't work. Because even as we currently are, we're already just untrustworthy. And we're not much of a fighting force. And who on earth would want to let me lead them? And so instead, we go for a much more grounded, much closer approach of recruiting our friends, moving across the fields just to get to my favourite actors and best friend's home. We march all the way across them, knocking down the stray zombies as we go with ease.
Killing the zombies was the easy bit. They were like fucking bowling pins, and I was the ball, with my 7-foot ladder steamrolling towards them. The easiest shit ever. You think Minecraft's easy? Fight them in real life.
Before we finally arrive, and after not even a minute of discussion of me basically just saying, "Oi mate, you want to fight some zombies with us?" Oh, gladly takes up a ladder and joins us in our quest. And finally we must join with the last of my 4 core laddermen of the apocalypse by marching all the way back across the fields, this time crushing the zombies we previously knocked down and putting them down for good, before we find Adam Ross of the sadly no longer active channel, the Patrick and Adam Show, before we convince him to take up a ladder with us, and together we march on the streets with a new strategy. You see, rather than bothering with all that tedium of the mass canvassing that I previously mentioned, our new strategy has got to be more underground to really connect with my voting base. And so, we go for a grassroots campaign. And the key to this campaign's success and appeal all lies in a simple slogan that I pitch to Adam, Oak, and Patrick, that if they have gotten to join us and take up a ladder and feel just so much safer rather than trapped alone, then surely someone they know should be able to feel like this as well. Surely they should help me find that person that they know and bring them into the fold. And so quite quickly, Adam, Patrick and Oak all are able to find another person to join us and take up a ladder and fight. And those lucky new members are then all too glad to come up with names of who else they think we should recruit. And from there, I think you can see how this is going. Because with every new person we recruit, we're guaranteed to recruit another person. After all, it's not very hard to think of someone you know who will want to be protected and safe within a group rather than fighting alone in a literal zombie apocalypse. And that's where this little strategy gets even more beautiful, because the more people we recruit, the more able to protect those people we are, and the more willing to join us all the others become. And then it just repeats itself. The more people we recruit, the stronger we get. The more people we recruit, the stronger we get. And so, by the time the sun sets on my first true day of the zombie apocalypse, I've grown my political party from 1 to 4 to 7 to 11 to 14, 17, and finally 21. Insert meme here. I'm so glad I was able to count up in threes correctly then. Like, Jesus Christ, I swear to God. But now, this could be the zombies' chance, because we've all got to sleep after a long day. And if we sleep anywhere at all, then they'll get to us eventually, won't they? There'll be hordes of them surrounding us. Oh no, whatever will we do? I'm on a roof using a singular ladder and going one at a time as the rest of us defend, before finally the last one of us can literally just get pulled up by everyone else really quickly, and then we're safe. I mean, Sure, we might need to make a few runs like down and then into a home to get some bedding or something. But we're safe. What are zombies gonna do? We've been over this, man. You can't climb a house. You can't climb any kind of building that you can't get your arms over. And these zombies can't even do that. It's laughable. I pity them, truly. But I don't care. Me and my 21 soldiers will just be chilling. And then we might be a bit sleepy on that night. But tomorrow we'd be going DEFCON 3 on the zombie arc, no.
And it was really fun too. I was the first one in the group to sharpen the end of my ladder. I impaled them with that shit. You should have seen it. Blood everywhere, and I mean everywhere. I had to check my boxes that night. There was blood in them. I don't understand. It's insane.
And now that we are rested in the morning, well, at least they are, because I was up all night strategizing on how to cleanse these zombie-ridden streets. And as I rise with 20 soldiers around me, I run them down on my strategy. Now, in fighting zombies, other than the most extreme cases, is ridiculously easy. But in those 1 in a million chances that inevitably occur when a horde shows up, it can often feel overwhelming, in which most of the time, your characters, they either run away in fear, which is perfectly reasonable, or charge in and fight individually and inevitably be picked off one by one, or stand individually be slaughtered. I will learn from these mistakes. And that's where my, third master stroke comes in? Because, as I love to remind you, the zombies are the walking dead. They are the weak dead. And they are the silly dead. Unless they are in their thousands, they will always be able to be picked out of a horde. And that is what my group will specialise in. I would like to file a patent on the first military use of ladder death squads, in which we will have, let's say 10 of our group maintain the all-powerful ladders. Actually no, 15 ladders, whilst the other remaining 6 provide support, and most importantly, make sure that any zombie that gets knocked down is quickly and swiftly dealt with. And we will deal with them. And we will knock them down. We will round them up, corner them, and then we will crush their skulls in. But to do this, we first need other weapons. And that is where a garden centre comes in. I think you know where this is going. And so we leave, making sure to use our combined 21 ladders to crush any and all of the zombies that might have been surrounding our little roof that we'd called home. And we set off on our maiden expedition to a garden centre to find killing tools for our new conquest. This was originally intended to be something of a small video. However, as I return to this mirror shot with nice lighting, I would like to inform you that the script for what I've got on this segment now is around 1,592 words. Oh dear. If you're still watching, please subscribe, or don't. It is your choice. However, it takes around 2 hours to walk there, after spending one alone just to figure out directions between our shared experience of going there for whatever reasons we had and feeling like 60-year-olds. However, we reached the garden centre, having saved time and kept our numbers by staying together in tight formation and only battling singular zombies when there's no other way to get past them. And boy, let's just say, it's not exactly fun for the zombies. But after several miles, a dozen individual zombies killed, and a lot of walking, we arrive before the morning is even over. But then we find it to be infested with retirement-aged zombies, filled to the brim as they all fled for their special seeds that they wanted before all hell broke loose in that tightly packed, hard to navigate, kind of depressing garden centre. Now, at the sight of yet more zombies, I go general mode and instruct my group that we must form a blockade on this garden centre, having 10 led by Adam Rust to make a defensive perimeter, defending us from any possible flanking from behind, whilst 9, led by me, move in to slowly but surely invade them, with 3 of us, including myself, swiping and pushing with our ladders, whilst the rest only need to bludgeon and beat to death the ones we separate and scatter from the horde. Whilst finally, Patrick shows his loyalty to the anti-zombie party by taking the ladder that he's specially broken the ends of into spikes and just charging into the centre, running around, picking the strongest looking zombies he can find and just stabbing them in the head where they stand before ripping the ladder out and repeating the process. Now, I'd like to try and take credit for what my group did in that place, but let's face it, Patrick just won. Like, we guarded ourselves and cleared up after him. We probably took out, like, I don't know, 10 or so, but he slaughtered them, and I couldn't be more proud. But then, as we're finishing clearing out the place, we hear voices and find 6 of the staff having held out after trapping themselves in the kitchen of the cafe. And now that I have some actual backbone to my policies, I lead a delightful conference that goes down swimmingly, in which I explain my campaign's simple but effective message that we should all keep each other alive and make sure that the rate these new Walking Dead are dying at is as both fast and efficient as possible. However, there's always one, and in this case there's always 2, that would rather stay hiding and scrambling around alone rather than join my collective and actually have to face the real zombie infected world. Pussies. But it doesn't matter that much really, and for the purposes of optics, I allow them both to retain their silly political position, as, after all, who'd want 2 Dales in their group? Like, I get maybe wanting 1 Dale, but 2 of them? No, I wouldn't. So now, after recruiting 4 new members to my group, we then double back on ourselves and bring back the perimeter guard from my original blockade, having only had to kill a singular, poor, defenseless zombie that only just strayed about a meter too close to where we were. Such a tragedy, not L ratio even. And then, over the course of a nice relaxing lunch, we exhaust the entirety of the cafe's food supplies. For purposes of safety obviously, however, we had to do this in halves, in which one half of the group had to guard the cafe whilst the other half ate before we switched roles, with Adam being in charge of making sure that the food is divided equally. He ended up making several corrupt deals with certain group members in exchange for protection, But I quickly shut that down by saying that that special protection was extended to me and my views as well. Anyways, with the help of the 4 former staff members that had joined us, we managed to get our hand on a cart full of seeds and soil for, let's just say, the end game for now, and all the remaining food items they had left, and then a vast assortment of the hardware items that are, let's face it, murder weapons, including electric saws, chainsaws, nail guns, weed whackers, electric screwdrivers, sledgehammers, and lots and lots and lots of wood cutting axes. Finally. And don't worry, we're still keeping to the ladders, as let's face it, being able to climb up a roof, and not only being able to climb up a roof, but being able to do so en masse in around like less than 10 seconds, is a broken way of getting your entire group to relative safety. However, now I make sure that everyone has a wood cutting axe on their person for recreational activities, you know, just fun times, slicing the limbs off zombies and decapitating them. And after that, I just kind of decree a bit of a free-for-all, that if anyone wants another weapon, they can take one up. Because, sure, we used to be in Britain, but in this new society and this new political party, I'd like to emulate the fighting tactics and civilian armaments of America, in which anyone can have any weapon and just be trusted with it. Because that's a surefire way of ensuring real group togetherness and murder. Lots of murder. Exclusively against the zombies, however. We're not going full America yet. However, inevitably, a fight breaks out over the singular chainsaw in stock. But I'm able to quickly end this with the decree that the singular chainsaw be given to Patrick. As like, did you see what Patrick did back there? Patrick with a chainsaw? That's just metal as shit. Everyone quickly agrees with me, before Adam takes up 2 nail guns because he wants to be, quote, like that one guy in Die Hard, quote. Oak finds a machete somehow, and I choose a sledgehammer that I managed to duct tape a few knives to, as like a sledgehammer with knives. That's fucking cool. I want that now. But then it hits me as I'm faffing around with the industrial strength duct tape. I get quite possibly the greatest brainwave I've ever had since this apocalypse started. All any of us need to do to survive a zombie bite is to make sure that their teeth don't actually get through our flesh. It would just be like a normal person biting you out. It's okay. You can walk that off quite easily. And so, like a maniac, I start chewing on duct tape, tearing through a strip of it before making a new line of 2 strips layered together, and having to chew through that before advancing to a 3-layered strip, and then a 4-layered one, and then a 5-layered strip of duct tape. At which point, it is completely impossible for even my jaws to get through. At this point, the entire group is looking at me really weirdly as I'm just chewing on this duct tape. But then, Oak notices what I'm actually doing. They catch on, and I'll explain my newest brainwave that will take the anti-zombie party to its greatest heights yet. If we all were to wear hard hats, or even beanies, and then cover ourselves in long sleeve shirts and make sure we're wearing actual trousers, then all we need to do to make ourselves nearly invulnerable to this zombie threat is to cover all of this clothing in exactly 5 layers of duct tape. After an hour of going about it, one by one, we have managed to cover every man, woman, other gender, and child in duct tape. Just kidding. We don't recruit children. I'm the Daniel Films Industrial Complex, not Dream. And so, with one of the most meticulous yet haphazardly planned campaigns of any party ever. I marched down my 25 troops back to Watton for the true political debut of the anti-zombie party. The very ground shakes as my warriors march on Watton, all bonded by a pyramid-esque initiation structure covered in duct tape that will make them invulnerable to any zombie bite, and all carrying more improvised weaponry than your average 15-year-old who listens to drill and wears a puffer jacket. Every stray zombie we come across tries to stop us in our quest, charging as fast as they can, which sadly isn't very fast at all, but they're the ones getting swarmed now. And before we can get bored of just mobbing every little bit of vermin we find, we make it back to that fateful roof we all first made camp on. And to make sure the zombies know that we are ready for round 2, we start setting car alarms off, smashing windows in so we can honk horns, and banging our weapons on the metal of everything loud that we can find. And then, within minutes, hordes start pouring down from every direction, and the battle for Watton begins. The first thing I do is make sure we all mass around the house, using its walls to guard our backs, before I then have 10 of our number with the longest ladders climb the roof and use their reach and relative safety to bludgeon anyone in our perimeter, whilst the remaining 15 of us, including myself, and all 3 of the 4 ladder men of the apocalypse, can work in threes. One fighter wields a ladder and uses it to break the enemy's lines up, whilst another can use whatever weapon they want to end every stray they find. And a final fighter guards both of them and makes sure they don't get, well, fucked up. And you know, generally I make sure everyone is sticking to this strategy and knows to stick to it. But Patrick just gives me a look, you know, and he starts revving his little chainsaw. It isn't really little considering the blade's about here on my arm. And I just let him. It's gonna be cool. And then once I'm done barking orders at everyone, it takes a few more boring seconds of slow kind of walking before the zombies finally reach us and all hell breaks loose. For them, they try to surround us, but every wave that arrives just gets pummeled by ladders from both above them and ahead of them, until they're either completely separated or just knocked over. And I mean, either way, they're just gonna get stabbed, hit by a hammer, or straight up decapitated. Like, fuck, I hit my first one with the sledgehammer so hard that I just killed another one by accident. Patrick straight up sawed one in half. Oak stabbed one in the eye. Surprisingly, Adam was a bit like John McClane from Die Hard when he had this cool one-liner of, "Guess you're dead as a doornail, punk," when he shot a nail straight through a zombie's eye. That was pretty cool. And I hit so many former people with a sledgehammer that I might have actually released my pent-up aggression and psychological issues. But at the end of it, we've all fought for around 2 hours, according to our timers, which we keep all the time, and I have previously mentioned in the video. I'm not wrong, you're just crazy. We've had timers this entire time, okay? It's for writing purposes. But by the end of those 2 hours, we've had a grand total of 5 oh no, oh fuck, they're biting me. But I'm covered in layers of duct tape moments. With a grand total of 0 casualties, but the zombies' casualties are so great that I can't be asked to count them. So instead I just run some bro science of going by the fact that the 5 designated killers we had were probably able to take out like 1 every 10 seconds. That gives me 6 kills every minute for each of them, which multiplied by 5 is 30 per minute. And over the course of 2 hours, that comes out to 3,600. I'd like to inform you that the population of Watton is around 4,000, and in that single battle alone, we'd wiped every remaining zombie out. And with that, the battle for Watton was won. Now, whilst I could drag the remainder of this scenario out to another, I don't know, 30 minutes, it's quite evident to me at least that we can win this within just 11 simple steps. Now, step 1 is going to be to make sure all of my troops can rest and be checked for bites within the safety of the roof, just in case anything happened to one of them, but also just to make sure that they don't die of exhaustion. Then, once we've made sure everyone is just really rested and recovered, probably spending a day just lying down. I mean, let's be realistic, they've been going at this for like 3 days now. I don't know, I can't even keep track of time anymore. But after that, in step 2, we're gonna raid each and every restaurant in Watton, your standard lads pub crawl, and break into the kitchens and collect any supplies and food stored there for ourselves. If you come there after we've been there, there will be nothing. I don't care about other humans that aren't in my group. Whatever. It's a free market, innit? And then, once everyone's just really well fed and confident on the back of our latest victory, I am gonna reinstate the 1 person you know rule, in which we will be able to double our numbers from 25 to 50. And that is step 3, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, you've been a lovely audience. Now for step 4. We're gonna fucking march on another hardware place to equip all of our new recruits with the same weaponry and armor that we have. And then we're gonna have every single older member train their new recruit in the fighting style and tactics that make up our signature style of fighting styles and tactics. And then finally, we're gonna assign trios of a ladder swiper, a zombie killer, and a backwatcher as we used in the battle for Watton. Now, in step 5, we're gonna march on the neighbouring village of Marston, using the same tactics we used in the battle for Watton with double our numbers. And once Marston has been cleared, which it will be, we're then gonna have our new 25 recruit another 25 for us. And if they have to, or want to, we're also going to allow older members to volunteer friends as well to join us. And after this, our numbers will have grown from 50 to 75 or even 80, depending on how many more join us. Oh dear. Now, step 6 is just going to be a bit light and breezy, you know? We're just going to march them back to the hardware store to be equipped and trained by those that recruited them. Simple stuff. We've done it like 3 times at this point. It'll be easy. Unless any fuckers aren't comfortable with being wrapped in 5 layers of duct tape. But they won't be, since the duct tape makes them invulnerable to zombie bites. And then for step 7, we're just gonna run one last big recruitment drive from a neighbouring village to bring our numbers from 75 soldiers to 100. We're unstoppable at this point. Like, what are the zombies gonna do? I don't know. Die? Oh wait, they already did that, didn't they? Well, they can die harder. now, step 8. We're going to lead one last march to a base where there's high ground we can ladder ourselves up to, decent shelter, and supplies of food and water in the area. This could be the hardest part, to be honest, but with 100 motivated people, we'll make it work. Then after what's been basically just a week-long crusade against the zombies, we're gonna settle down and establish a new society in step 9 with a council and a rota of both marching parties and guards to make sure that at all times we have a dozen or so people on watch and 25 roaming our perimeter so that we can gather supplies, find useful assets like working cars or trucks or whatever. I don't really mind, I'll take anything at this point. And finally, and most importantly, to maintain an area of near zero zombie activity in which any hordes of them or stragglers will be just put down, ensuring our safety for years to come. Because we're the anti-zombie party still, and we will stick to our core beliefs and values. Thank you very much. And then, in step 10, we're going to start expanding. Recruit some more people, but then send out those that our council chooses. But then, sadly, I'll just have to let go the 3 of the 4 ladder men of the apocalypse that I recruited all those days ago, so that they can lead our expedition parties, to recruit in the ways that I did, fight in the ways that I trained them to, and find their own special way of surviving like we did. And then the 3 of them will be sent out in different directions, and each with 10 soldiers of the anti-zombie party under their command. And I'm sure they'll all be able to get by swimmingly. This might make things a bit tighter on our guarding and roaming rota, but we'll certainly be able to get by with 30 fewer mouths to feed. But they're not just leaving us, because in 2 weeks my 3 laddermen will return as instructed, and we'll establish communications with these forming communities and make trade networks and all the things that make civilization cool. And then in step 11, I've won. Because it won't be about what I do anymore. It'll be about what the new communities do. It'll be about how much they expand, how many more they recruit. Because the new communities that I've sent out will be able to just keep expanding. And if they find more zombies, they'll know to just purge them like I did. And if they reach a critical mass of recruits, then they'll just send out more like I did as well. And if there's other communities that can't be recruited or traded with, then they'll just leave them alone. Because after all, there's still zombies everywhere. But the beautiful thing is that eventually there won't be, because the anti-zombie party that I started, just 3 guys, all those days, months, or even years ago, will have covered Britain, and then, hopefully, the world. And that is how I would beat the zombie apocalypse as seen in The Walking Dead. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's been amazing to make it. I feel like I've been brought back from the dead by this. And I thank you all for watching. Hello? Excuse me? Wait, what do you mean? So, it's like a virus then? Or is it what? Okay, you don't know, that's fine, but what's happening? People coming back from the dead? And just walking around, they're biting people? But they can only walk, right? Yeah, I guess that's still a bit of a problem, but Look, I'll see you in a bit, Adam, okay? And now, I guess I better get my ladder.
Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution.